Yes, thank you, Paul. So we will move forward with our program. And I will present Margaret Cott, everyone knows, but she will give us a thank you and reflections and some closing notes. Just a short presentation. Margaret, can I? Short presentation from you.
Yeah, so I was going to I had no slides, I think, Claudia. I have a closing slide at the end, but thank you, everybody. Wow, what a day it has been. So this was our first international symposium for person-centered practice, the international community of practice. And our hope was to have a place where people would come together and talk about all sorts of aspects of person-centeredness and shine a light on person-centered healthcare. And wow, I think the day has been really successful in that. We started with the Southern Hemisphere Symposium our nighttime last night, and here we are at the Northern Hemisphere one today. So just so you know, there were about 60 participants here today from, I've counted 12 different countries. That is amazing. That's an amazing level of energy, and so many of those people are stayed with us all day long. So thank you very much for that. It was such a diverse range of topics that have been discussed, from Brendan's opening remarks that really helped to ground us. And there were themes that ran through the whole day. I felt through all of the presentations. There were themes about threads that were ran through many of the presentations. I'll summarize those in a minute. I'm just going to go back and just go through each of the presentations as they happened. So Brendan started by grounding us in the cultures, traditions, and lands in which we exist. And then so many of the speakers echoed that, but echoed it in terms of grounding us in the principles of person-centeredness and the core elements of person-centered practice. And that element, that sense of grounding being so important to what we do. Then Tanya, you really provoked us to reflect, and you used hooks for us to hang things on, but also to get us thinking and to prod us a little bit with those hooks. Things about whole systems approach to what we do, being obsessed with doing versus being, and the need for strategic level frameworks, the need to show impact for sustainability, and that wonderful question you gave us about what imprint do we want to leave as individuals on those with whom we come in contact. Really got us thinking. And then Hannah and Neil shared their work about person-centered curricula. Hannah, that exciting new proposal about person-centered practice in German-speaking countries and the development of competencies, and the opportunity that you opened for inclusion to members of the ICoP in that. And that was another theme that went right through the day. There was a really generous sharing of resources throughout by the speakers and also by people who put into the chat box. And that was lovely. Neil, you told us about developing the curriculum and how you challenged traditional approaches to curriculum development in nursing. And a theme that came through as well was the need to expand beyond nursing. So where the expertise in the room right now focuses primarily on nursing, but everything is relevant outside of nursing too, and to all of the other professions and working together. And you gave us really a powerful example of how using the framework to develop a program it really worked and was commended in your area. Then Claudia, you gave us that concrete example about the intervention, about how impactful person-centered interventions are, which was a gap that Tanya had, spoke to the gap that Tanya had highlighted during her presentation. Chris, no more than turn of a head. Wow, that was powerful, powerful personal account of the gap that exists between person-centeredness espoused and practice, and the impact that it had. Again, as Sean said, you brought it to a different level, and you challenged us with so many aspects of that story. And one of the things that struck with me, so many of the people engaged and came back with what had stood out for them during your presentation. And it really brought home for me the power of language and how words can really make an impact for somebody. And there was a phrase that you used that is my takeaway from you, and that was about person-centered leadership begets person-centered practice. And that led on beautifully into the next presentations. There was so much in that. You called it a recipe that you gave us to think about in terms of person-centeredness. Joanne, influencing without lobbying. Your example was absolutely landed really clearly with me, firming the message, and then your honest account of what it is to grow into that space yourself and to be the insider outsider, if that's the right expression for that. And followed so timely by Sean with the theoretical proposition on leadership. And the authentic practices that are required for person-centered strategic leadership. And it raises the whole question about what is it that leaders do need to know. And then Paul, that staggering example of the current state of the nursing workforce. Those figures were amazing, and I hope I wrote them down correctly. 30% left nursing in 2023, and 20% of students in third year don't want to continue their course. That is absolutely staggering. And that you brought up a couple of issues that I wrote down, just jotted them, gender being one in particular to pay attention to, and pragmatism. But really, as Tanya said, you have issued us with with a very difficult challenge, and one that we will take back to ICoP. And it's a really important message. But you have shown us where there is opportunity as well to influence at a political level, and we need to take that opportunity. We need to grasp that, and we need to take that opportunity. So thank you very much, everybody. They were my reflections. There is so much that I need to take away and that I need to process from what I've heard today. I will go to thank yous very shortly, but if there's anybody who has a reflection that they want to add in right now, please feel free to do that. I'm going to give a little bit of space just here if anybody wants to do that.
Margaret, did you want me to bring up the Padlet responses on screen?
Oh, do. Thank you. This is the Padlet that people filled in. I had a look at it there coming towards the end of the presentation, and there were a number of answers that people had put in. So what measures can be taken to ensure a global adoption of person-centered principles? A large focus on nurses today, and it may hinder development. That is something that we've mentioned. It's absolutely not the whole picture, but some effects can be directed towards implementing strategies, consensus. Readiness of systems to adopt person-centeredness, that was spoken about today as well. I saw this one earlier. I wasn't sure what LMICs were. And considering the impact of the whiteness that people spoke about, and a shared and agreed understanding of the value and benefit that's firming the message. We've touched on that as well in our reflection. and letting people read this themselves. How do we see future research, education and policy making within the context of person-centeredness? If you can scroll down, Jonah. And then the last one, what role would cultural, religious and political differences play in the implementation of person-centered principles globally? And I think what we might do is leave the Padlet open so that as people process what they've been hearing today, they might like to add to it. So we won't close it for a little while, and then it will be available on the PCP website.
The link is in the chat box.
Okay, thanks, Shima. Okay, so it comes to just say thank you. So today, days like today don't happen without a lot of work in the background. So I would like to say a sincere, heartfelt thank you to our colleagues who came together to help organize the day. And in particular, Veb Tayaji and Shima Lukmani, who have been the nearly invisible people who have done all of the IT work and kept us on the straight and narrow and helped us to get our presentations in order and practice with us, etc. Ahead of the day. So thank you very much for that. I want to thank the speakers because this was our first conference. So people put their hand up to offer the work that they've been doing and to share it so willingly with the community. So thank you for that. And thank you for the wonderful way in which you've done that today and so expertly. And I want to thank you, the participants, for your level of engagement, for your attention, for your interest, and for your ongoing support for the international community of practice. And then just in very last thing that I want to do is our closing notes. So the PCP website, everybody has access to it. So the recordings from the day will be available there. Please do, if you want to look at them again or share them with your colleagues, do that. And the webinar series, the dates came up earlier, and maybe we could just pull that back up one more time, Shima, if that slide is available. And it'll be on the website as well for people. So there we go. The first one is...
They're also in the chat room, Margaret. They've also been posted into the chat room.
Oh, great. Thank you. That's great. So that's it, everybody. So thank you so much for your attention today. Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you for making this just the most wonderful first symposium for PCP-ICoP. We hope we will see you again at the next webinar.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Bye.